You should see a message saying recording started. All right, we're
Yep.
ready to go here. My name is Roy Canterbury, and I'm going to be hosting Archery Talk 101. And we have a guest today on the show. But before we do that, I want to let everybody know how you can listen to or watch the podcast. You can listen to it on Audible. Go out to audible.com and look for Arch Talk 101, and it's free to listen to. Or you can listen to it wherever you get your podcasts at, Spotify and places like that. And you can watch the video in the Arch Talk 101 Facebook group. There we have a lot of archers from all over the world. If you need some help, we're there to help you. So just go ahead and join that group, as well as you can watch it on my YouTube channel, Learn to Fix It Yourself. And you might even go on to my profile and or my page and watch it there. But we can watch it wherever we want. So um, let's get our guest started. How about if you introduce yourself and tell us a little something about you and maybe how you got started in archery?
Awesome. Thank you so much, Roy, for having me here. My name is Fernando Vives. I'm from Mexico. I started in archery when I was 3 years old. I'm 24 right now, and I love doing this. I'm a professional archer, and I also own an archery shop and an archery range down here in Mexico.
Oh, that's pretty cool. What's the name of your archery shop?
It's called Vives Arqueria. It's Vives is my last name, and Arqueria is archery in Spanish.
Put it in the chat, and then I'll bring it up and we can promote your shop right down there. You can put it in the chat, and then I'll just bring it up
Awesome.
and
Yeah.
makes it a little easier for me to find it.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, let's see. We'll look for that on Google and see if we can find it. Oh, there it is. And then we'll just bring it up and kind of talk about when it comes up. And there we go. I think this is it. So let me go ahead and share my screen, and then that's the right site, right?
Yeah, that's the site. Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
okay.
almost done with it's not completely done, the website. We have to add a lot of things. It's not finished yet, but should be finished in a month or so.
Oh, that's good. So what all do you have? Oh, you've got some accessories and looks like you're carrying PSE bows.
Yeah, we sell PSE and Elite.
I was a PSE dealer in from about 2001 to 2004. I still shoot PSE. I like their bows. They make some good stuff.
Yeah, yeah, they do.
Now, are they
Yeah, we carry PSE and Elite right now.
and these are some of the PSE Supra X40.
Yeah.
Now, is that the 25,000? That's probably not in US dollars, is it?
No, it's in pesos.
I
Yeah.
don't know what conversion rate is, but I see it's like, okay, I don't think that's US dollars. So yeah, you've got quite a bit of stuff here, and some of it's in English, where us English readers and speakers can figure it out. But yeah, it looks like you have pretty good there. What are your shop hours?
We work physically from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. But we answer messages all day, 24/7. If someone wants to buy something or has some doubts on anything, they can give us a call. But yeah, the website is not finished. We haven't added all the things we have, so it's not finished yet. But we have some things right now over there.
How long have you had your store?
Uh, the store since 2018, so 7 years now.
That's pretty good. That's a while. You're kind of
Yeah,
established and you just getting a website going. And I know a lot of them that they don't have actual .com. They just use Facebook. But you're a little safer
yeah,
with your own .com because you're not susceptible to Facebook's whims and changes, and they do a lot of changing all the time. And yeah, what so you've had that for about 7 years. That's pretty good. You say you're a professional archer then?
yeah,
How
yes.
long have you been doing that?
Yeah, I shot my. Well, I started shooting at 3 years old, and then I started competing at 8 years old, and I shot my first world championship in 2014 when I was 14 years old on Croatia. It was the World Field Archery Championships. So that was 11 years ago since my first World Archery tournament.
That's been a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely been a while. So how did you do in that first tournament?
Uh, I mean, I was shooting on the under 21 division, but I was 14 years old, so it was a very difficult tournament. I finished, I believe it was like 14 or 16. I don't remember, but somewhere in there.
That's pretty good when you're shooting against, kids that are, 6 and 7 years older than you are. It's your first tournament. I'd say that's a decent finish.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. And I mostly shoot well, I shoot all type of tournaments. I shoot 50-meter style tournaments. I shoot indoors. Uh, I shoot 3D here in Mexico, especially known distances, and I also shoot field archery, world archery style. I've only shot one NFA tournament. It was on 2018, I think, on Yankton. But all the other field tournaments I've shot at was world archery style. So the yellow targets with black.
Yeah, just a little bit different target face form, isn't it?
Yeah.
So do you do any hunting down there?
Yeah. Yeah. I do. Well, 2 weeks ago I went hunt Barbary sheep. We have a lot of all that here in northern Mexico. So I went 2 weeks ago to hunt Barbary sheep. We also have deer, turkey, javelinas. We do have a lot of hunting here in Mexico.
Yeah, it sounds like all the traditional stuff. And I know I went
Yeah.
down in Texas and shot some javelinas down there, and I want to do it with my bow, but the last day we got my buddy's rifle because I didn't set up anything for an archer to shoot out of. It's a regular rifle blind, and so I'm standing in the doorway basically to try and shoot. And last day I took a rifle and I got some then, but that was kind of interesting how they put the corn out to bait them, and it's still a
Yeah.
challenging shoot. Even with a rifle is challenging.
Yeah, it's very different here in Mexico. Most of the places where you go hunting, they use corn as bait on mostly every ranch that you can go hunt. It depends on the type of hunting, but most of them is on a blind and with bait.
So is there much public hunting down there, or is it all on private lands?
No, it's only in private land. There's
Only
no
private land.
public. Yeah, there's no public hunting.
So you gotta find somebody that's allow you to hunt. And
Yeah, yeah, but there's a lot of places all over the country. So
And
We
my
do have a lot
probably
of species here in Mexico.
a lot of the ranchers probably um, like to get some of the herd thinned down because of if they have any crops out, and none of the animals are good at eating up the crops.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's there's some ranches that have other stuff than just hunting, and there are some that are the only thing they do mostly is hunting. So it depends.
So what's been your most memorable hunt you've been on?
Uh, it was the last one I went the Barbary sheep hunt. It was pretty difficult because that was a spot and stock hunting, and well, the place where I was hunting, it was pretty difficult. Uh, just a lot of walking and difficult terrain to be around. A lot of rocks and some parts where you have to climb instead of walk. So was 4 days of hunting that were pretty tough, but at the end, on the last day, I was able to harvest a good, I believe it was 29 inches on the horns. So it was a pretty good experience, and one I won't ever forget. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, it sounds like a tough hunt. Some of those are the most memorable ones when you have the biggest challenges.
Yeah.
So with all the tournaments you've been shooting, what's your kind of practice routine look like uh, throughout the year, and when you're not going to tournaments, when you get ready for tournaments, how's your practice routine change, and what do you do?
Well, mostly I shoot indoors because the archery range I own is an indoor range, 18 meters. So because of my time and a lot of things I got going on, work, especially the shop, and I also have the archery range, and I give classes here in the on the range, and basically my practice routine changes all the time. When I have important tournaments, I try to stick to a very consistent training program, and I try to shoot. Depends on the type of tournament. If I have to go shoot 50 meters or get ready for a field competition, and I have to go somewhere that where I can practice angles up and down, I'll do that. But mostly I shoot indoors, and I'm a huge fan of shooting blind bale. I think that's a pretty good exercise that for someone that doesn't have the time or the space to shoot long distances or shoot official distances to practice for tournaments. Uh, I think blind bale is one of the best exercise you can do to improve your level and to stay consistent and put the reps in. So you can uh, try to take advantage of what you have.
Yeah, now some of our listeners may not know what blank veil shooting is. Maybe you could elaborate for those that aren't sure what that is.
Oh, well, so blind bale is you put your target at 3 meters, uh, 3, 5 meters tops, and you just shoot with your eyes closed. So you pull the bow, and when you get to the anchor point and make sure you're on the target, you just close your eyes and make your shooting process and shoot. So that's why you do it at 3 meters, 5 meters at most. So you can pretty much do it anywhere.
Yeah, that's a real good technique. That's when I first learned back tension release, that's how we were learning it to start with. And I will use that, periodically with someone because it's one way to figure out, what your form is like. When I was first learning how to shoot your eyes closed, you finally get what feels like a good release, open your eyes, and it all goes away. So you keep working until you can finally do it with your eyes open. Now I've done it so long that it's kind of natural. But uh, yeah, that's a very important thing you can do to, help in learning. And I just wanted you to, explain it so that, those that don't know. And if anybody's interested in knowing more about it, then just get a hold of me or 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 you or you or somebody, and if they're down there in Mexico, definitely look you up and um, have you go over, the shooting techniques because that's the key, I think, for new archers is to find somebody that knows what's going on and have them teach you.
Yeah, I mean it's a pretty good exercise, and yeah, always reaching out to someone that knows what he's doing. It's gonna help you. There's a lot of archers that, I mean, it's like they shoot and that's the only thing they do. They don't follow some exercise because they don't know some shooting drills. And if you can get someone to teach you uh, some ways that you can improve your archery game, that's gonna be fantastic. I mean, you can learn a lot of things right now, and just simply going to YouTube or some podcasts like yours, archery forums, you can learn a lot at this time. You can just type how to fix something specific on your form, and you can get a lot of answers. But I think it's always best to have someone explain the things to you and help you and seeing what you are doing so they can help you out.
Yeah, I put on my YouTube channel, I put a lot of instructional videos in there on shooting form as well as working on your own bow and stuff. Some things you're probably not going to want to do, like making your own strings without the right equipment. It makes it really
Yeah,
tough.
yeah. Yeah,
So,
also, we have some, well, I have a YouTube channel and Facebook page and Instagram with the same name as my archery shop. And I also post a lot of content in Spanish, but just shooting drills, some technique mistakes that you might be doing and how to fix them, tuning advice, a lot of things. I believe that it's good to spread good information on social media for others to improve their archery game.
yeah, there's so many things out there that are not very accurate, and you got to really pay attention to what you're looking for and, make sure that, they actually know what they're talking about. And that can be a problem. I've seen a lot of archers out there and they're showing how to do something and it's completely wrong.
Yeah,
It's completely wrong. Nobody does. If you look at any of the top shooters, none of them you do that way. And that's the key is you want to look at somebody that is a top shooter and pay attention to what they're telling you to do. So what other kind of training tips do you use that you could pass on to some of our listeners?
yeah. So with the years and having I've gone from phases where I'm shooting a lot of arrows and some other phases of my life that I'm shooting less arrows but trying to maintain quality. But right now, I can tell you that the more you shoot, the better you're gonna get. I mean, if you can find the time to put on the reps and shoot a lot of arrows, that's gonna help. I mean, you have to maintain some level of uh, quality on your shots, but the more you shoot, the better you're gonna get. That's one of the things that I believe and that helped me a lot, and that I put on practice with my students. So try to shoot most arrows you can while maintaining some level of quality on your shots. Uh, the blind bale exercise is pretty good. I think that's the best exercise or shooting drill you can have. Uh, uh, I mean, there's a lot of drills I have and I use myself and for my students. Uh, but I do believe that the more you can shoot, the better.
Yeah, you need to get some reps in, but I would say like you're better off to put in 10 perfect shots than 100 wrong ones.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, it's always better to shoot 10 good arrows 100 bad ones. But if you can find the time to make some good shots, some good practice shots, that's always going to be better. It's archery is mostly a skill, and the more you train it, the better you're going to get
Yeah.
on doing it. And also, I mean, you can train pretty good and you can be a great archer and you can shoot 300 or perfect scores all week long on your local archery range. But if you go to a tournament and you don't shoot that well, I don't think that training is the solution. I think that we are going to have to take a look on your mental game. Because I do know a lot of archers that shoot pretty good scores while they're trained. Some top of the world scores, and as soon as they get on a archery tournament, those scores go down. And I think that's mainly mental game, not necessarily something you can fix in practice.
Yeah, because that's you get in the tournament and things completely change, and that there's a lot of mental aspect of the game, and sometimes you'll see archers trying to get in somebody else's head and put those thoughts of doubt in their mind, and then next thing you know they're messing them all up, and uh, so yeah, it archery is definitely a mental game. uh, the mental is the hard part to overcome.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's 90% of archery. If you're a competitive shooter or trying to be a competitive shooter, 90% of the job is it's mental. I mean, you can have an excellent technique, you can have the best equipment, you can have your bow tuned the best way possible, but if you stand on the line and are not focused and you have some doubt and insecurities and you don't have your mental game in order, then doesn't matter if you trained 2,000 arrows every week or you have the best equipment, the most expensive. It just doesn't matter. Mental game is 90% of what we do, and I think it's very important to work on that.
Yeah, that's something that I've talked to a lot of archers, and that's where they struggle the most is they know they can shoot center X all day long. It's just, why am I not doing it this time? And then you miss, and you start thinking about, well, I missed, I don't want to miss again. Next time they miss, I don't want to miss again, and they miss because now they put in their mind the word miss, and now then they've just kind of spiraling down, and it's hard to get out of that. Not thinking about that you make a bad shot, and now you're thinking about not making another bad shot, and that's what you do. And it's hard to get that mental game where it's like the next shot you're focusing, you don't care about the last shot, it's done, over with. You're only focused on, I'm going to hit the X, I hit center of the X, hit center of the X, and then you can bring yourself back out of it. But that's tough to do.
Yeah, that's something that you also have to train. Me personally, I work with a sports psychologist. Uh, Depends on the season. I work more with my sports psychologist, but I think that's one way to do it because it's a professional and they know what they're doing and they have all the tools to help you. Don't think like that, like there's some exercise and some tools they have that just work, but you have to work with someone. If you try to fix it yourself, most of the times it's going to be very tough. So just like any other professional athlete, they don't have just one coach, like they have, in this case, my archery coach. I have a physical coach that gives me some of routines to exercise outside of the range, the sports psychologist. So it's just a lot of people behind a professional archer, well, a professional athlete, you know. So it depends on what you want what you want to do in archery. if you just want to shoot tournaments for fun, that's amazing, and you don't have to have a sports psychologist or a, a coach that helps you work out and things like that, you know. But if you want to get serious and start competing in big tournaments and do well, then you have to have the tools in order to make it happen.
Yeah, definitely having, the appropriate coaches and mentors is a big key in anything you're doing. Everybody has that on the top of their game has a coach or a mentor or somebody that's helping them get through the things and keep them focused on what they need to do. And that's definitely the part that if you want to perform at the top, you got to have somebody helping you out.
Yeah, I mean, and it's in different areas, you know, because I mean, at the end, archery is a sport, and I think that it's not just about shooting. Uh, I believe, and I strongly believe that if you do exercise, uh, not just on the range, but in a gym or uh, somewhere else, that's gonna help. I mean, if you're strong, if you're fit, if you have a good condition, that's gonna help. Not a lot, but it's gonna help you to be a better shooter. That's one of the things I believe. That you have to work hard, not just in the range, but also outside of the range.
Yeah, because as you're going through, if you're on a 3D course outside, you've got to walk from target to target. And if you're so worn out you can't hardly breathe, it's going to be tough to do a good shot because you're just struggling to get to the next target. So yeah, that's definitely something you want to do. And even at a tournament, you might be on your feet, most of the day, whether you're on the line shooting or what you're doing, a lot of times you don't have a chance, you're not get a chance to sit down a lot. So you're up on your feet and moving around and, that can wear you out.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, a 3D tournament is a pretty good example, you know. Especially here in Mexico, we have some 3D archery tournaments, and we are shooting for 5 6 hours on the course, and we are on the sun, and we're at, I don't know, 35 40 degrees Celsius, so that's pretty hot, you know.
Yeah.
And 5 6 hours walking around carrying your bow and your backpack and everything, you have to have some condition, because I mean, if you are tired and you go to the next target and you try to shoot, that's gonna be important. If you're already tired, if you don't know how to breathe, uh, that's gonna affect you. So I think that's very important to be fit and to work out, not just shoot arrows, you know.
Yeah, real, real, real important.
Yeah.
So, what do you have coming up for tournaments?
Right now, we're on the middle of 3D season. Just some regional tournaments here in Mexico. Then we have the national championship for National Field Archery Championship. I believe it's on August, and if everything goes well, I'll be shooting the Pan American Field Championship on October.
Where's that going to be held at?
It's going to be here in Mexico, on Chiapas. It's almost on the south border of, well, it's on the south border of Mexico, so it's going to be a good tournament. And it's that tournament's it's every 2 years. Last time it was 2023 on Argentina. I went to shoot that tournament. I finished first on qualifications. I won gold in mixed teams, gold in teams, and unfortunately, I didn't get to get the three gold medals. On the individual matches, I got second. So this year it's pretty important to me, and I want to. Well, I'm working hard to shoot that Pan American Archery Championship and get those 3 gold medals back home. So that's the most important tournament for me this year.
Sounds pretty good. You almost got it last year. Two golds and a
Yeah,
silver. Now it's time for three golds.
yeah, that's the objective right now.
It'd be good. You'll have to let us know how you do when it comes up.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
Yeah, get on and let us know how you did in the tournament and send us a picture of your three gold medals.
Hopefully. Thank you.
I mean, hopefully. You gotta be positive here, right? Medal game, right? You're gonna get three golds.
Yeah, I mean, anything can happen. So,
Yep.
uh, I mean, I'll do what I have to do and train as hard as I can, and we'll see what the result is.
Now is that one a known yardage 3D or is it unknown?
Oh, it's field archery. It's world archery style. The
Oh,
first day
okay.
is unknown, and the second day is known distances and matches and everything is known distance. So, I mean, I usually shoot known distance. I don't like judging. I used to, but I just prefer to have my rangefinder check the distance and make all the adjustments I have to do on my bow and just shoot, and on field archery that you have to judge the distance on the first day. I mean, it's not that difficult because when you shoot field, you have different ways to know the distance, not
Yeah.
just by judging with your eyes. So that's something that helps me because I'm a pretty good shooter on field. So I judge really good, but I do it my way, and it's. I think Paige Pierce did a video on how to judge the distance for field archery. So we use our scope to judge the distance, and then we let down and just adjust the sight. It's not that hard, but you have to understand why it works and how it works, and practice a lot so you can judge better the distances.
Using your sight as a rangefinder, basically.
Yeah, exactly. It could be pretty accurate, so you have to train a lot and trust your feeling when you are doing it.
My hunting bow's got 5 pins on it, and I know based on how many pins I can actually fit on the animals about how far it is. Until you get up real high and they're shooting down an angle, then it's all off.
Yeah, that's a way to do it also.
If you're on the flat, then it works good. If you're not on the flat, then those don't work. Because I had one time I was on the top of a hill and the trail was 20 yards away. Um, and I was on my ladder stand up about 18 feet. So I was quite a ways up over the deer. And when you look at the deer, the size said it should have been a 40-yard shot. But I knew it was only 20 yards of trail because when I range, I take the trail and I go up to a tree that's straight out from me and I range that tree. And I knew it was 20 yards to that deer, but it looked like a little bitty little deer because it looked like it's good 40 yards away. I shot it for
Yeah,
20 and I got it because I knew it was not, the size was not correct. So I couldn't use my pins as a rangefinder because it had told me I needed to shoot it for 40, 50, or 60 yards just because of the angle. That's where rangefinders come
yeah,
in. You just range it. That was before I had rangefinder.
yeah, yeah. That's one way to do it, and as you said, it works very good on when you're shooting flat. But when the angles start to show up, that's when things gets tough.
Yeah, that's always the difficult part. And if you just remember, carpenters use a 3-4-5 triangle. If you take one side's 3, the other side is 4, the distance between the two is 5. So if you're looking at the deer and it says, okay, where you're at, it's going to say that it looks like it's 40, 50 yards because you're 30, say you're 30 yards from trail, but you're 40 yards up. That's going to look like it's 50 yards, but you got to shoot it for 30, not the 50, because you just go over the top of it. And you just remember that kind of triangle, and that helps you out in figuring out what the yardage is, whether it's shooting up or downhill. All works the same way.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I mean,
eh, yeah, and unless you know how to do that, that don't mean nothing to you. But you just got to practice it and see. And one thing nice about the rangefinders nowadays is they'll tell you what to shoot it for and what the actual distance is. And you know, I always say use your own mind and your own judgment, judge the yardage, and then verify afterwards with the rangefinders. And I'll do that last times on a 3D course. I'll range, not with the rangefinder, but I'll estimate the yardage and I'll shoot it. And if I don't hit where I'm at, then maybe I grab the rangefinder and see what it really was to see how far I was off. But you got to commit to what you think it is. Otherwise, you're constantly checking in. And when you have a deer come up, you don't have time to range find it. You got to know those distances first. And, that's why when I was first starting out, I would actually put tags out, especially out into a field. I'd go out at 10 yards, 20 yards, 30 yards. So I had a 30-foot long rope that I carried with me and fastened on there. And okay, there's 10 yards. So I could mark it all out until I could learn how to judge those distances, without having any kind of marker. And, you know, so that helps out.
yeah, yeah, it's one way to do it. And I mean, right now the rangefinders there have some like you said, there's like a function on some rangefinders where the rangefinder gives you the correct distance to shoot it for. I
Right.
personally don't use that function. I like to have my rangefinder giving me the distance and the angle, and then I'll do the adjustment on my site. Uh, taking the angle and the distance, and then I make my adjustment because it's better for me, and I think that depends on the bow, the speed you have. Sometimes you have to make different adjustments. Not It's not for everybody.
Right.
So I rather have the distance and the angle, and then I'll do my cuts on the distances and shoot it.
Well, that you've got it figured out where you just know the distance, the angle, and sometimes you kind of guess at the angle pretty close, and then adjust it. That way you don't have to actually, you know, worry about that because it's set up for your specific bow.
Yeah, exactly.
I had on mine at one time. I had mine set up, and I knew at 5 yards I got to shoot 70-yard pin, and I was on a platform with a gator about 5 feet in front of me. And I knew at 5 feet I needed to, like I said, 5 yards, but 5 feet, I knew I needed to shoot my 70-yard pin. So, and that was a pretty steep angle. When you're up on a platform that's up, probably 10, 15 feet anyway. There's a good half dozen, 8 steps, something like that to get up there. And you're leaning on the rail, bending down, bending down, bending down. And finally my pin got where it's supposed to be, and that's where I shot and I nailed it. Because I knew on my
Awesome.
bow that distance what I had to shoot it for. And well, that's how people don't understand why you have to do that. It's really the arrow
Yeah.
is at the corner of your mouth. Your pins are up by your eye, and so is your sight. So your arrow leaves, a good 3, 4 inches lower than where your sights are at. That's why a lot of people shoot through blinds, the side of the blind, because they don't realize they got to get up higher to get over the blind into the shooting area.
Yeah, it's very important to know your equipment, especially if you're a 3D or a field archer. You need to know your equipment. You need to know how it performs on different angles, and it's not the same to shoot uphill and downhill. That it changes. I mean, it's not the same to shoot 50 yards with 10 degrees uphill than to shoot it the same distance, same angle, but downhill. The sight corrections that you have to do are going to be different. So if you know how your bow works, it doesn't matter what distance is, what angle is, you can make the adjustments, and then it just depends on if you shoot good or not, you know? So
Yeah,
it's very important to know your bow.
it's always difficult when you have to lean forward or lean back to make your shot. 'Cause, you don't raise your arm or lower your arm. You have to do your whole body because your form is your form, no matter whether you shoot a level or up or downhill. And that's the part that is a little difficult. I know I didn't want to before I knew any better. I got this and I'm dropping my arm down because I'm chain of state, and it's like I can't see through the peep, and everything's it's like nothing's working right. That was before I learned how to do it correctly. And there's one of those things where I had nobody teaching me. You know, there was really no coaches when I started because I started in the '60s with the recurve bow, and then finally when
Okay.
in the mid '70s when I got a compound bow, and the 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 first compounds were late '60s. There was compounds, but you couldn't buy them yet. They weren't readily available until the mid '70s, where you really could get compound bows. So it's amazing what's
Yeah.
gone from those first original ones to now.
Yeah, it's a lot of difference. I I do have on the shop uh some bows from the 80s. I got some Yennings, some Viking, PSC. I got like 10 or 15 bows that were from my well, they belong to my grandfather. That he was a he was an archer and he was a bow hunter. So I got them on the shop on the wall, like a museum.
Yeah, that's good thing to do with them because the technology nowadays is so advanced, and a lot of those little bows had steel cables on them, and
Yeah,
you can't get the steel cables anymore.
yeah, and some of them have the wood limbs, and
Yeah.
if they break, I don't know where you can find some wood limbs. But yeah, it's pretty cool to see how things have changed and how much the technology has changed over the years. I mean, I hear a lot of people complaining of their bows that it's not that fast and that it's too big for hunting. And I just look at the bows that my grandfather used to hunt. I mean, they're big bows with cable metal cables and wood limbs, and they're slow, really slow, and
Yeah.
they get the job done, you know? So a lot of people right now complain on their equipment, but at the end, if you make a good shot, doesn't matter what bow you have. It's more important to focus on training and focus on knowing how to do the things than worrying about the equipment.
Yeah, you can just go to a pawn shop and buy something that fits you. If it don't fit you, it's not any good. Buy something that fits you. Definitely get a very good release, because that's half the battle if you're going to shoot a release. And the beginners, I wouldn't recommend a handheld one just because they can be a little more smack yourself in the mouth mode than the wrist wraps. Spend the money on a good quality release, and take the extra money that you saved on that and buy some lessons. You can always upgrade your equipment, but it's much harder to upgrade you after you've been shooting for a while.
Yeah, it takes some time I mean, if you have the access to a coach, that's gonna help.
And now with the internet, I've coached people. My first coaching student was over in Italy, and the second one is in
Oh,
Canada,
okay.
and I'm in Nebraska. So it can be done. You can do it, and it's actually easier now than when I first started because we had VCRs is how it records your shooting as opposed to now. phone. I can take the phone, I
Okay.
can
Yeah,
bring in
yeah,
my
yeah.
video editor and go frame in advance and see exactly what's going on.
Yeah, I mean that's a pretty good thing right now. Uh, I have some students that I coach online. Most of them are in Mexico. I do have a kid in Argentina that I coach him online, and I mean it's not the same as if you're in person, but
Right.
it's better than nothing. I mean you can help them. I mean it's possible. It needs a lot of discipline and a lot of commitment from both parts, from me and from the kids, but it can be done and it can work really good.
Yeah, there's just something in person that you can, if their shoulders are up, is you can just kind of relax the shoulders and touch them, they relax them down, immediate correction, as opposed to, well, you're doing this and they can't really feel the difference. They can't feel a good shot, draw back. I used to do this, draw back. Okay, you aim, put your finger way above the trigger. I'm going to pull a trigger when I'm ready. You just aim. You're aiming. Yep, 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 yep. And I'll pull the trigger and I go, and that just, now that's what it should feel like every time. And now they know what it feels like. And now if it doesn't do that, they know something's wrong because they're pulling the trigger. And that's always my first lesson. If I find somebody's, an archer and they're shooting with their lease, I tell them, first lesson's free. Quit pulling the trigger. And they say, how'd you know? Well, I've been doing this for 30 years. So I know
Yeah.
you're pulling a trigger. Well, what would um, a new archer, what advice would you give a new archer?
Uh, well, what I see on most of the new archers I have, yeah, here on the shop is that if they think it's easy at first and they frustrate really fast when they don't get the things done uh, quickly, So just to be I think to be patient is one of the most important things when you're starting in archery, because it's gonna take some time. It's just not because you're shooting for 1 month you're gonna show up to the range and shoot all the arrows on the middle. You need to have patience, and if you have a coach that's teaching you how to do it, just to trust the process. I think that's very important.
Yeah. Well, it's been really great talking with you. Um, I've got a lot of good information out of you, and definitely when you get down and win those three gold medals, get a hold of us and let's get back on here and we'll talk about the event and you winning those three golds.
Yeah, thank you, Roy. It was nice talking to you.
Yeah, and just a reminder, I'll put links in the description for place we talked about, and if you want to join the Arch Talk 101 Facebook group, there we have instructors and Bowtechs out there that can help you with any problem you might happen to have. We've got archers that have been doing it for 60, 70, 80 years. Myself has been doing it for about 60 plus years. And uh, just remember, just stay tuned. If you have any questions, get a hold of us. We'd be glad to help. You can watch the videos on my YouTube channel, Learn to Fix It Yourself. There's also some shooting instruction and bow techs information on how to do some generic work on your bow, and just get a hold of us if you have any questions. And my name is Roy Canterbury, and I've been your host today on Arch Talk 101, and we'll catch you on the next one.